I'm Adrienne, your sex positive bestie, here for sexy talk, real stories, and tips that just hit. Ready to play? Let's go. Day 10 of fighting this never-ending cold. I hate to start it off like this because I'm like, oh God, I'm so tired of being like typhoid Mary, always sick and stuff. But last week after I recorded, I actually got worse. I ended up going to urgent care and they were like, oh my God, you have a severe ear infection. So I got on Augmentin, right? Thinking, okay, I'm going to be on the up and up, like things are going to turn around. And by Saturday, I had completely lost my voice. Mr. Wright was like, oh my God, the world has never been quieter. But I am finally on the mend. Sorry for my delay. It just was impossible to get down here. I barely had any voice, and the little voice that I did have left, it would have like strained me too much. And so here we go. And this show must go on. Let's talk about the Masters weekend, which I was so bummed I wasn't feeling well because I was so looking forward to watching the Masters. Mr. Wright takes off. We had some family and friends over and I was just really, really looking forward to it, but I wasn't feeling good and I barely had any voice even on Sunday, but made the most of it. I got to catch up with you about the gnome story. So on the last episode, I told you guys how we borrowed my brother's master's gnome for, some artwork, decor in the house for our little party. And we didn't tell him about it. It was like so funny. And by the way, he never noticed. So he comes in and it's like a half hour of him sitting there and we're all just like, oh my gosh. And my nephew goes, hey, Dad, look, you have one of those. And he looked at the mantle and his face was fucking priceless. He actually reacted the exact way I thought he would. He just sat there in silence as we were just absolutely busting out laughing. He was like, what, how, what, when, is that mine? Like, is that mine? How'd you guys get that? Like, it was in my dining room in the corner in a bag. I haven't touched it. And it was so funny. But the cool thing is he was like, you know what, Adrienne, it looks better here. Let it hang out here. And the gnome is still there to this day. We even took down all the other decorations, but I was like, the gnome's going to hang out. We had such a great time, even though I wasn't feeling good, with family and friends. And Mr. Wright made a hell of a spread based on Rory's menu. It was really, really good. The tempura shrimp was definitely my favorite, and that peach flatbread. Delicious. We did the whole thing. Katina helped with making potatoes and we had steak. It was delicious and even better company. Also, what a tournament, right? Like so much fun. It was so cool to see, Thursday and Friday. I'm not going to bore you with all the golf details. I know a lot of people aren't fans, but Thursday and Friday, it was so cool to see Rory like take a lead, and then it became a game, right? They tightened those greens up, and it was really, really fun to watch. I was personally pulling for DeChambeau because, for obvious reasons, he's my favorite golfer. So for him not to make the cut was a big disappointment for me, but it was great to see Rory win again. That is my dad's favorite golfer, and it would have been really cool if my dad could have seen him win a Masters. But 2 years in a row, it was pretty cool and pretty special to witness. Speaking of when we watched him win, on Sunday, everybody left and Mr. Wright and I were like, oh, we have nothing to do and all day to do it. And like I said, I wasn't feeling 100%, but he's like, do you want a mimosa? And I was like, you know what? Yeah. And it was the perfect, beautiful day. The Masters were just starting. I had a pineapple mimosa. And Mr. Wright was like, this is delicious. I was like, this is the best day ever. And we just had such a good day together. We were just hanging out, drinking mimosas, lounging around. It was seriously one of the most relaxing days. Now, you guys know, like, I don't get Mr. Wright a lot on the weekends with his job. And so to have like a full Sunday of just us, it was amazing. And he made these pot stickers and we ate them and we were having so much fun. And I don't know like what happened, but we both just looked at each other and he was like, I'm going to tear that up. And I was like, fuck yeah, you are. So I have some things to talk to you about and some really, really hot tales to tell. I want to start by saying first, I have been talking to him about getting it in, right? Like, I know it's hard with, our daughter home and to, have kids in the house or whatever and timing and our schedules, but it's vital to me. And I had a conversation with him and he's listened, right? Well, the one thing that has been happening lately is we kind of got in this little bit of a rut. And you guys know I love that prone position. We love the prone position. And I'm not complaining about it at all. In fact, it's still like my favorite thing to do with him, our favorite finishing move. However, we had kind of gotten to this rut where it was like all we did. And the last time that we had sex, it was kind of like just, in the morning, quickie. And I was like, I don't know. I was feeling some sort of way about it. And I like sat on it for a little bit. And I decided that I was going to talk to him about it. And this is what I want to discuss with you is, talking and communicating with your partner, the importance of it, right? And later we're going to get into more, but we went on a walk, which has been like our new thing lately, which I've been absolutely loving with Humphrey. We take him on a long walk. By the way, he's laying down beside me. He's such a sweet boy. And he's really, really, really fitting in. He's been with us 3 months. And I mean, now I just can't imagine life without him. Anyways, and we're walking. And it's funny because like I had like a lot of anxiety built up, and I was like, I don't know. I was kind of frustrated because I was thinking, how come he's not like talking about this? And I got in my head about it, but I was like, Adrian, you're not reverting back to your old ways. Like just have a very mature, productive conversation. And so I brought it up well, and I just said, hey, I want to talk to you about, our last couple sessions. And he was like, I already know what you're going to say. And I was like, okay, well, I don't want to get into a rut with you. And our sex life is so vital to me. And he was like, I know. He's like, our schedules and, with our daughter being home and stuff. And he's like, it's just been hard. I was like, I know that. But like, guess what? Parents have sex, right? Like even if there's kids in the house. And I think it's difficult for him. He's never had a child. And he's like, Adrian, I am trying to respect boundaries. He's like, I don't want to get caught, and it's really important for him. But I'm like, we got to get it in though. Like it's vital, like our relationship. And there's ways to do it. There's places to do it where we're good, right? So we had this conversation, and I just said, hey, like, I just kind of feel like we've gotten this rut. And I mean, he agreed with me, and I like, said my piece and just let it go. In fact, we were alone that whole day. And I thought to myself, you know what? This was on, I think Thursday. I can't remember. I said, I'm just going to like, let it go. I'm not going to push him. I'm not going to say, let's go back to the house and bang it out. Like, no, like give him space. He heard what I had to say, and we'll see how we move forward. Right. So I don't know what morning it was, but I was getting up and I was getting ready to go work out. And he opened up his covers and like patted on the bed and was like, come here. And I thought he just wanted to cuddle because like I was actually like getting in my gym clothes and everything. So I got into bed with him, and it was so sexy. Like he started rubbing on my breasts and then like teasing me where my pants were and stuff like that. And then, rubbing on me in all the right ways. It's funny. I've been so graphic on the show, and I don't ever like holding anything back, but there's so many, like, I don't know, with him, I just want to like keep some things to ourselves, but lots of foreplay, kissing my neck, and just like slow and sensual, like, and morning is the best time for me to ever have sex. It's my favorite time. And I'm reaching behind and stroking his cock, and it was super sexy. He like slides my pants down, slides inside, and I was like so ready to go because of all that warm up, right? Like he was my engine was very, very warm. Okay. And we're just like having sex, and he whispers in my ear, and he's like, oh, this feels so good. Like, you feel so good. And like, he was like, babe, he's like, I'm really, really horny for you. He was like, I'm not going to last that long. And I was like, it's fine. Like, this is morning sleepy sex. We've had so much foreplay. Like, it was amazing. And next thing I know, and then, oh my God, I was like so fucking hot. So it's like 7 a.m. and he's, laying behind me, like we're basically spooning, and he's like grabbing on my chest, and he knows that, breath play is my kink. He knows how much I love having like a hand around my throat, and he like starts like putting his hand around my throat, lifting my head, kissing me and saying things to me like, you like the way I fuck you, just like talking dirty and stuff. And I was thinking to myself, like, this is the best day ever. Like, I'm getting fucked at 7 a.m. I'm getting choked. This is amazing. And then he flips me on my belly and just like thrusts really hard inside of me a couple times and finishes. And it was funny because it was like the perfect balance of, we got our prone position in, which is my favorite. Like, it does feel the best. I swear to God, I feel like his cock was made for my pussy and vice versa. It's like the perfect fit, and it feels so good. I want to do it right now. But anyways, and it was like, and he like kisses me and was like, just like, he was like, I love you so much. It was like one of the hottest sessions, and I felt so fucking close to him. So hot day, amazing time. It was so delicious. And then, I followed up with him. Like later we were on a walk and I said, this morning was so hot. Like, I love that. And he was like, yeah, for sure. And I just like that follow up and that follow through to not only, compliment him and encourage him, but like to promote it more in the future, right? Like, yes, let's do that all the time. Every day. If I could, I would. Okay. So back to Sunday, we're having so much fun together. And he looks over at me and he says, I'm going to tear that up. And I'm like, fuck yeah, you are. And we went upstairs and he dominated the fuck out of me. And like when you're like a little tipsy, you're making out hard, you're fucking, you're sucking, you're riding, you're grinding, you're doing all the things. Well, let me tell you a little something about me that you might not know. And I actually didn't know either until I met Mr. Right. This was the thing for me in college, but not anything over the last 2 decades of my life. However, now all of a sudden, Tipsy Adrian likes anal. Okay. And what Tipsy Adrian doesn't know is I can't handle that thing back there. But I'm like, yeah, do it. And I mean, when I tell you we destroyed each other, when we were done, I was like, we were in the bed, the bathroom, bending over the tub. I mean, it was a sesh. It was like seriously phenomenal sex, like over an hour. It was unbelievable. Oh God, it was so good. And the next day I woke up and I'm like, my butt hurts. And he's like, Adrian, I bet it does. He's like, you kept telling me. And I'm like, well, next time. And he's like, well, I can't listen to you. Like when you tell me to do that, like I'm going to do it. I'm like, I understand that, but like, God damn, like that thing is not meant. Like, I don't know. It's funny. I talked to Zach this week and I was like, man, like Zach is the top and he loves like power bottoms and stuff. And I'm like, I don't understand like how these dudes take that shit all the time. I'm like, wow, because it was so funny because I was like, my butt hurts. So it was seriously such an amazing and fun day. And it was nice to like have fun, even though I wasn't feeling good at really, like it was just nice to pretend like everything was all good. Of course, Monday rolls around and I'm like getting sick again. This has been the weirdest sickness ever. But, I've been on Augmentin. I'm turning a corner. I'm feeling better. Anyways, so it was like super hot and sexy and fun, and life has just been good lately with him. Like I feel like we have been closer than ever. He had to travel for work this week, and like even like him traveling and stuff, like we were texting and sexing, and it's just, I don't know, I just feel really, really, really good. And I know it's because of that the conversations and the communication that we have with each other, right? Like even when he was driving to Virginia Beach, we spoke almost the entire time about everything. But that's one of the things I love about him. And I've been thinking about it and how communication really is the differentiator between the happiness and healthiness in my relationship now than relationships in the past. Like I have never had this type of communication in my life. And I know I've always talked about communication. Talk to your partner, use your words, talk, and then talk some more. Like talk about things so much that you get nauseated about it. But something that I realized that I haven't, like it was like a light bulb moment in my head was I talk about communication, but what really, really matters is how you communicate. And that is what I have changed in the healed, healthier me, especially in this relationship. So I wanted to like talk to you guys today about like the difference between communication and just how you communicate, because I know everyone's thinking, and people even send me DMs and they're like, Adrian, I talked to her. I talked to him. I've discussed these things. But then I was doing some research and like thinking about myself and how things have changed for me and in my relationship. And what truly matters is how you communicate. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Because it's important, like how not only improving your communication, but also how you communicate and thinking about it that way. So I'm going to give you a bunch of different things that I've learned along the way and I took some notes about. And then also just like a quick and simple little homework thing that you can do with your partner. Because I know like listening to these episodes, it's hard to remember everything. And it's really hard to change all of a sudden as well. But if you can pull 2 or 3 things from what we're about to talk about, if you're, it doesn't even matter if you're not having problems in your relationship or you're having communication. If you're not having communication issues, it will still enhance and improve your relationship, because really, like, at the end of the day, what I feel like really deteriorates relationships is not talking, right? Not communicating effectively about things. So let's talk about ways that you can improve how you communicate, not the communication, but how you communicate. I think I've beat that to death. Okay. The first thing I want to talk about, and something that I've really noticed that I've changed, is that when I talk with Mr. Right, I use specifics. So for instance, not saying like general terms like, you never listen to me, you never help me enough, or you never follow through, or whatever. I'm just giving examples. And something that I was thinking about was when I told you guys about how one morning I was speaking with him and he wasn't listening to me. He was like on his phone, or he was like doom scrolling. And I was like, hey, like, you're not listening to me. And what I realized is what I should have said is, afterwards, when I wasn't fired up about it, and this is talking about the how, right? Like how I communicated. What I should have done is said, hey, when I was talking to you and you were checking your phone, I felt ignored. That totally flips the script on him, right? Or he could do that to me. And I think, oh my God, like kind of puts him in the place of where I was at, where I'm not criticizing him. I'm just communicating with him and telling him how I feel. So when you use specifics, that's a really big deal, right? Like not a general and broad term, because none of us are mind readers. And so that's something I'm really like focusing on, is using specifics. Like when I told him, hey, we're doing prone position way too much. And again, I love it. I want it every time, but it can't just be the only thing that we do. I need that foreplay. I need that destructive choke me out sex too. Okay. Like these are things that make my world go round. Okay. So next is, and this is a huge one. And I realized in the past, I was always about winning, and you want to replace winning with understanding when you're communicating with your partner, right? Like in a communication, in a conversation, especially in one where you're discussing something, you're having an issue, or even if you're arguing, right? You think to yourself, like, I'm going to win this. I'm right. And I want you to replace that with understanding, right? You want to understand your partner. And I'm not saying you have to agree with them, but you have to hear them, right? And just understand them and not be like, well, I'm right and I'm going to win this. Because that really is just not productive. So just remember, you're replacing winning with understanding. I've talked about this before on the show so many times, but you got to remember timing is everything. Like if I ever had a conversation that I wanted to have with Mr. Right and he had just gotten home from work, it ain't going to go well. I know that man, he needs like at least 15 to 30 minutes of downtime. In fact, when he gets home from work, I'd give him a kiss. I'm so happy you're home. I missed you, whatever. I leave him alone. Right? Because I know he needs that decompression. He really, really does. And it's funny, like even, last night he came home really late and I know he was on the road the last 4 hours, and I was laying in bed and just, winding down. And he came upstairs. He was like, hey, and he said, I'm going to go downstairs. I said, yeah, babe, go downstairs, unwind, enjoy yourself. Right. And little things like that, like he's like, oh, he can relax. He can breathe. It's not like, hey, I need to talk to you about this and you haven't been home and this happened and that happened, or hey, whatever. It's like, go decompress, relax. Like I'm a big fan of that. And he does that for me as well. So timing is everything, right? Like you don't want to start an important conversation when either of you are tired, distracted, or emotionally drained, right? When I was going through everything with my dad, or if I'm going through something with my daughter, or something's happening at work, that's not the time to be like, hey, we need to talk about this. So just remember, the timing is truly everything. I spoke about this earlier, but remember, don't mind read. None of us are mind readers, and you're never really going to fully understand unless your partner tells you something. So it's important to ask. Our minds play tricks on us and create these scenarios. If I could tell you the things that I have thought in my head before, and I'm like, oh my God, shut the fuck up. Right. Like, and what's the thing? Facts or feelings are not facts, right? So remember that. And like I have created scenarios. Like I think I shared with you the trip to Vegas when I was flying to Vegas and Mr. Right didn't text me before I left. And I was like, oh my God, what is he doing? What did he do last night? Oh my gosh, like if he did something stupid last night, like I'm just going to go to Vegas and be by myself. I envisioned myself checking out. I was like, this is going to be the end. psycho, right? I mean, I feel like that's an intrusive thought I should not share, but I'm sharing it with you because I want you to know it's normal. And of course, Mr. Right would never know about it unless you're listening right now. Hey, babe. Yeah, sometimes I am a little crazy. But anyways, you don't get to see that side of me. Thank God, because I've healed and grown and I don't act out on that shit. But don't mind read, right? Like, talk to your partner. So something like, think to yourself, like, if you say they did that because they don't care about me, they did that because they could just give a shit about my boundaries or what I need or what I want. Instead, say, hey, what was going on when that happened? Hey, when I needed you, what were you thinking about? Or just, ask them when you're having some sort of scenario. It's hard to think about the different things and examples because I'm not in it right now. But just remember, like, instead of letting your mind wander and go off into the races about crazy psycho things, ask your partner, what was going on when that happened? How are you feeling when this was occurring? Just ask your partner. Like, that's a big thing. And people love to feel heard. We all do, right? Okay. Another thing that you really want to do with your partner and in order to not shut them down when you're communicating with them is to validate before you respond. And I think that's something that I actually need to work on. And again, this is not agreeing with your partner. It's hearing them and acknowledging them. And I'm actually going to think about this the next time Mr. Right and I have a discussion, right? Like, I want to say things like, I can see why that made you upset. Or that makes sense from your perspective. People will really calm down when they feel heard and understood. That is a great diffuser, especially if you're in a heated argument, right? Like, look, people argue, like you're gonna argue. And I'm trying to put that into my brain. Like, I can see why that made you upset, or that makes sense. Or I understand, why you would feel that way. Trying to use these validating responses before I respond. I'm gonna work on that. And you should too. Okay. The next thing I want to say, which is something that Mr. Right and I have done flawlessly in the almost 2 years that we've been together, like that's crazy, is small check-ins in order to prevent big blow-ups. That is one thing that I do not do anymore. In fact, I was talking to a girlfriend the other day, and she's a lot younger than me. And I was talking to her about like my experience in life, and she's looking for her Mr. Right. And I said, something happened. And I said, okay, well, you need to discuss that. She was like, no, I'm going to let it fester. And I was like, no, let's not do that. Like, that's definitely the wrong thing to do, because that's going to be a big explosion. It's become this big thing and you're going to explode. And usually those big talks that you have in relationships is like something's wrong, right? So if you have these little small check-ins, it will keep the resentment away. Things like, hey, like, let's talk about, how things have been the last month. Like, what do you think our sex life has been like last week? Like, did you enjoy the last week that we've had? Like, hot fucking times, right? And small check-ins like, hey, I noticed you seemed a little upset when I mentioned X, Y, and Z. Tell me how that made you feel and why. These little small check-ins that they really do like keep the resentment away. And this leads me to another thing. It's like repairing quickly after conflict, right? Like, when you're having these small check-ins, when you're constantly, talking with your partner, and again, this is how you're communicating, it makes a difference, right? It really matters like how quickly you repair. And if you talk about the small things, you can fix them right away instead of letting them fester, letting them grow, and then having this big explosion, right? And you can even do things like, hey, I didn't handle that well earlier. Like, you can repair things so quickly. I am so proud of myself, and it has made me terrified. I told you in the very beginning of Mr. Right and I's relationship, I didn't think he was emotionally available enough for me, and it killed me. But I told him how I felt, and, I said, hey, like, this is where I'm at. This is where I think you're at. And, I need you to be here. This is what I need. And I expressed like exactly what I was looking for. By the way, my voice sounds like shit already. I'm so sorry. And it was really scary and really hard. And I didn't talk to him for 3 days, and I was gut wrenched. I was crying in the Walmarts, pushing my cart, right? Like, it was devastating to me, but I had to speak my mind and talk about it. I can't let it build, let it fester and linger and become a bigger issue down the road. And furthermore, like, even when we've had little things, I'll say to him, hey, let's talk about this really quick. And he calls me and checks me on my shit too. We repair it quickly. And I will say, we don't have a ton of conflict in our relationship, but of course we've had some, and we address it right away. And I love that about him and about us, because we don't have things that are long-standing or growing, or that resentment is building, because that to me is a relationship killer. It just is. And so remember that, like, repair, small check-ins to prevent big blow-ups, and repair quickly after conflict. Like, those are huge things. Now, we've talked about a lot, I know. And I also threw in all that hot, sexy time. So I'm going to bring your attention back to just 3 quick, simple ways I want you to think about when you're communicating with your partner on how you can improve communication with your partner. So the first one is, say how you feel without blaming. Like, that's huge. The next one is listen to understand, not respond. And you can even repeat back to them. I love this. So you felt upset when that happened, right? They're going to feel validation. They know that they heard you, or you heard them, right? So listen to understand, not respond. And then my favorite thing of all, if there's one thing that you take away from this entire episode when communicating with your partner, it is have those quick and easy check-ins, right? It is so simple, but it prevents small issues from turning into big ones. Little things so small, like, how are you feeling? Is there anything on your mind lately? Like, let's have a little heart to heart. I actually call family meetings, right? On Christmas Day, when Mr. Wright almost burned down the house, after everyone left, I said, family meeting time. And I told him how I felt, and my daughter told him how she felt, and he told us how he felt. And we all group hugged after, and kumbaya, my Lord, off back into the world. But you know what? We had that touch base. We had that understanding and listening, and we moved on. Healthy, right? Talk about repairing quickly. Like, he almost burned my house down. He was mad because I said I wanted to kill him, which, by the way, was a reasonable statement. And I was like, is it imminent? Do I have a gun? Do I have a knife? Am I going to kill you right now? Like, I thought that was a very reasonable thing to say when I'm throwing water bottles on a huge fire going up the garage. But anyways, but like having a family meeting, or even things like I said, like, I will touch base with him and say, hey, so what do you think about the last week in bed with me? Like, what was your favorite moment? Or, hey, I noticed that you've been stressed lately. Do you want to talk about it? Or is there anything I can do to help? Like, that's a touch base. It's a quick check-in. They're vital. So that's the one thing I really, really want you to take away. And just remember, it is about communication. And I know I talk about that a lot, but it's how you communicate. So I really hope that these are things that can help you in your relationship, because I do feel like sometimes, even when the conversations are hard, right? Like, and I had some not harsh words, but I had some difficult things to express to him. Like, hey, like, I love that, we have quickies and stuff, but sometimes I feel like a fleshlight. And like, that's not okay, right? Like, we can't have the fleshlight sex 3 times in a row. And, that probably sounds like really rude, but that's just kind of how I felt. And he heard me, he understood, and he was like, I completely agree. And I was like, okay. So just remember, like, having those conversations will prevent things in the future. Okay. And, another thing I want to say too is, like, the short, consistent effort in relationships will beat those long, hard, occasional talks every single time. All right, I am going to go upstairs and have a high noon with honey. Just kidding. But I'm going to treat myself, and I'm going to drop this episode for you. And I will see you guys back on Tuesday, no matter what, hell or high water, typhoid Mary, whatever diagnosis I have next, I will be here, and I can't wait to see you guys then.